2 weeks after the takeover of Afghanistan and after celebrating the pullout of the US troops, the Taliban are all set to unveil the new government soon. The visuals on your screen showing piles of black and white Taliban flags in a room. These images were uploaded by Ahmadullah Motaki, the chief of the multimedia branch for the Cultural Commission Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan. He has said that the country's Ministry of Information and Culture has made arrangements for ceremonies at the presidential palace. The announcement is set to lay out key appointments amid rising political uncertainty. According to interviews with the Taliban and other sources in Kabul and Kandahar, Sheikh Haibatullah will be the supreme authority of the new Islamic government. Mullah Abdul Ghani Baradar, a co-founder of the Taliban who served as the group's deputy leader, was expected to be in charge of the day-to-day affairs as the head of government. Key positions are expected to be given to Sirajuddin Haqqani, another deputy and an influential operations leader within the movement, and Maulvi Muhammad Yaqub, who is the son of the Taliban movement's founder, Mullah Muhammad Omar. So far, the Taliban have made the following appointments. They have named a governor for Kabul, a mayor for Kabul, governor for Nangarhar, governor for Khost, the head of the Sports Federation, and a minister of higher education. Officials to run the Ministry of Public Health and the Central Bank have also been named. There is no information on the type of government and whether there would be an inclusive council, but one thing is certain, the Taliban will be facing multiple challenges. There is mounting frustration in Kabul over the severe economic hardships caused by a plummeting currency and rising food prices. Banks are still shuttered 2 weeks after the fall of the capital to the Taliban. United Nations officials have warned that Afghanistan faces a humanitarian catastrophe, with large parts of the country suffering from extreme drought conditions. The economy has been shattered by 4 decades of war. It also faces loss of billions of dollars in foreign aid following the withdrawal of Western embassies from the country. The Taliban say the economic problems being experienced would be eased once the new government was in place. And for more on these developments, our correspondent Anas Malik joining us from outside the presidential palace in Kabul. Anas, how soon do we expect the government to be formed? Is there any reason to believe that it would be what's been called an inclusive government? More specifically, do we expect to see any women in the cabinet?
Well, Molly, what Taliban sources have been indicating is the fact that we might be looking at the government formation announcement by tomorrow after the Friday prayers sermon, to be precise. This is what multiple Taliban sources have been telling us. They also claim that the government confirmation would be done sometime later today by the Taliban chief or Amir Haibatullah Akhundzada in Kandahar, and following that the formation of the government announcement will be done in Kabul tomorrow. Now, officially there is no word as yet, but multiple Taliban sources that I have been speaking to, multiple Taliban leaders that I have been speaking to, they're all currently huddled in Kandahar as we speak, indicating that this process of government formation is in the final stage. Standing outside the Afghan presidential palace, this road, this circle behind me is known as Chowk Zambakh, and beyond this, these Humvees that you see parked behind me, beyond this is the Afghan presidential palace, which currently remains out of bounds. There were preparations that had been ongoing inside the very Afghan presidential palace with regards to the oath taking. We're seeing that the Taliban are jubilant. They have been distributing flags. They've been saying that now marks their actual independence. Now, coming to the second part of your question, as we speak, there are no indications that it might just be an inclusive government. What we understand, in fact, what Taliban spokespersons have been saying, that they would not be including any people in the government, those who've been part of the previous government. So it would be a tightrope to walk on for the Taliban in order to ensure or garner international legitimacy amidst talks of an inclusive setup or an inclusive government. Molly?
Right. One of the biggest concerns is the economic situation in Afghanistan. The Taliban have made tall promises about the economic woes being resolved once the government takes shape. But is there a plan of action on that front?
Well, as we speak, there is no plan of action, at least on economy. We've seen a blanket restriction being imposed of per person 20,000 Afghanis or up to $200 being taken out on per week basis. There are contingencies that is being worked out, but as we speak, there is no way forward. The Taliban, once they come into power, they would be facing multiple challenges to begin with, multiple challenges at hand that would include economy, that would include the provision of notes as well, because currently the country is facing a cash crunch. As we speak, since the Taliban takeover to date, we've seen the rise in the rate of US dollar rising by about 13 Afghanis since the Taliban had taken over. We've seen that trade routes are closed, most of the borders are closed as well. So multiple challenges that lie ahead. The Taliban claim that they have a way forward, that they would want to seek international legitimacy and resume a normalcy, life as normal, but that would take time. And for their statements to transpire into actions, that is something that the international community would be closely watching out. Molly?
Anas Malik, thanks very much for those updates. Leaving it there for the moment. WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.